Here we go. Oh my gosh, you're gorgeous. Of course, I couldn't cancel on you. I couldn't cancel on you. You're too gorgeous.
It's
I'm so
okay.
excited you're there.
I'm going through my stuff too. It's crazy. Everybody's
It
going
like
through it right
just
now.
fucking happened. Like just fucking happened. And I'm like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Oh well. Who knows? Who knows what's gonna
No,
happen?
I get it.
It's all right, but this is way too important because you're way too important. I'm so excited. That's why I had to talk to my boy Andy because he gives me the good advice. He always gives me the good advice. So he's like, why can't you go live? I'm like, you're right. Okay. Let's go live.
Did you add another co-host as well?
Yes, we. I asked Rose if she was available. I don't know if she's was able because she had some for family in the town yesterday, so I'm sure they had some more fun with that. So it's okay. That's the biz, baby. You know how it is. It's the biz,
Yeah.
But that's not what I'm here about. I'm here to celebrate you and everything that you do and who you are. Because you know what? I've been a fan from step one, but I got to be honest, I don't really know your origin story, even, origin of thought. I really want to hear like what happened, who you are, where you came from, what's the poetry deal and everything. Because I know you're on the West Coast in Pacific Northwest.
Yeah. 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 I'm in Washington now. It looks like I'll be staying here for a bit.
Okay. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Or an okay thing?
It's an okay thing, I guess. We'll see. That's how life is.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, like what we were just talking about.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. You never know.
Yeah.
It's all right. So, like, seriously, though, it's kind of serendipitous that we're here together tonight because we had such an incredible, like, femme-forward conversation. I know that's one of your, like, big topics, your POV, your thing that you want to get out across. So, like, let's talk about that. Like, let's talk about your powerful voice.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I guess it originally just kind of started as like, what would I want to hear when I'm writing about these difficult situations that, I'm writing about? To be honest with you, I didn't plan on doing anything with my poetry. It was going to the grave. It was never going to happen. Because it was something that was just mine, and I was so overprotective of it.
That is true. I get that. I get that. It's yours. Why tarnish it by giving anybody access to it, dirtying it up? And it's kind of like, I made this for me, and it's all about me. And I get that. I do get that. Oh, wow. But, I mean, I'm happy that it came out, though.
I am, too. Like, the direction that it's been going has been amazing. Something I never thought would really happen. And it all started because of the pandemic where virtual open mics started happening. Because I was like, there's no way I would ever do an open mic ever, ever. And so there was an open mic that I was doing to be a judge, like a slam poetry thing with a poet named Pretty Simple Cat. And that's kind of how I started to meet everybody. And then, so then I started gradually just posting more and more poems. And then I started doing the DM reads first. Because I always wanted to be someone behind the scenes. I don't like being front and center. I don't. And yeah, so then I graduated. I just gradually started doing open mics because it's like what do I have to lose type thing. And so I was welcomed with, big open arms, which I'm so grateful for. And it kind of it was a challenge. It challenged me I am an outspoken person, just more so in my personal life, like not with my poetry and stuff. So it's like right now I'm trying to integrate both of those basically. And instead of showing one side of me, I'm trying to show all the sides of me. Well, which is many because I'm a Gemini, which is a lot. So yeah, and it all kind of started because I used to write short stories in elementary school. Yeah. And when I started doing the poetry because I was getting writer's block. So it was just like, to me, it was a bunch of like just random thoughts that I just wrote down. and stuff like that. It would be like unorganized because I'm also dyslexic. So I'll have like the body part of it in the middle of like some random piece of paper. And then I would have like little bubbles of like where I wanted to put certain sentences but couldn't figure out where. And so I just thought like, oh, like this isn't going to become anything. I'm dyslexic. This looks crazy. Then I'm finding out from other writers are doing the exact same thing. And I'm like, what? So that also motivates me to continue like sharing my story and do like interviews like this too. And then I showed it to someone. I think it was my dad's friend, because she said she did poetry. And I begged her not to tell my dad. I was like, please don't tell my dad. Please don't tell my dad. And she was like, this is poetry. And I was like, no, like you're kind of just blowing smoke up my ass, basically. She was like, no, this really is poetry. And I think I was like 12 or 13.
Oh, wow. That's
yeah,
pretty incredible, because you probably really were like smacked over the head with, no, you're making that up.
Yeah.
But no, it really was.
Yeah. Because like I always like, if the way I internalized it for myself was that my poetry didn't sound like other people's poetry, so it wasn't really poetry, which is random thoughts in my head. And then now doing these open mics with everyone and seeing everybody's different styles, and it's like, oh, like, you know, that inner critic really like slows you down. That fear really stops you from doing things, because like everybody has their own style, their own way of doing things. And that's the beautiful thing about poetry, art in general, you know. But, you know, with social media, we kind of forget about that a little bit, because if we're not seeing the numbers, then it's no good, right?
Right. That's how it feels sometimes. But I'll say this, I think the true artists and the poets, they go past it, because again, it's not about that at times, you know, even though it's hard to, because it is a social media. This is, to me, Instagram is totally like a commercial ad space, and we're just trying to find our way to have conversations in between all the freaking ads that I'm getting all the time. You know what I mean? It's hard because you're not seeing people. So when we are connecting on these open mics, people are hearing other people's words, and there is a community that I believe is growing, that is Renaissance of back in 2019, where, you know, Andy talks about. But your experience with Origin of Thought, with your show on Wednesdays, let's talk about that. Like, how did that come about? Like, were you so excited? Like, were you nervous? Because I never, listen, I'm 41, and it was just this year that I started doing the virtual thing and the live thing. So, like, I'm so incredibly proud that you're already speaking your mind, you know?
So I have to actually, I really have to thank Just Star for that one.
Oh, she's incredible.
She's amazing. And so I hopped on her open mic, and I loved her. It was a different vibe than any other open mic that I really saw, you know? And I was just like, oh yeah, like I feel safe doing this open mic over here. Like she's doing it every Wednesday, I'm going to do it. And every time I would hop off, she's like, no, you stay. Where are you going? You stay. Spit another piece. So I had asked her, like, how did she go about getting on a bigger platform? Because I was in the process of trying to do a podcast. So I wanted to do kind of a little bit of both, so I can not just, because I was interviewing my friends. So I wanted to be able to interview other poets as well, not just like talk about the same stuff. And so she reached out to Valerie for me. And Valerie asked me to do like a co-hosting thing first, and so I did. And then she offered me a spot, which I'm really grateful for. And so I didn't do it this past week because of my situation, but next Wednesday I'm gonna do it. So yeah.
I'm glad that you'll be back though, because you've had some pretty incredible conversations. Like I said, I had to pull over on the side of the road to participate because it was so freaking good. You know what I mean? You're doing an incredible job with that.
Thank you. That's my hope and my goal. Like, cause I don't know, like I've always been raised to be outspoken, but I wasn't allowed to talk about the things that I'm talking about now.
Okay.
Because my parents didn't want me to bring more attention to myself for being a Black woman, for being Black and then a Black woman on top of that, because of their own experiences. And, you know, especially during the pandemic, how everything was like heightened and stuff like that. And I was kind of I was outspoken about it with my friends, and I got backlash from that. And then I was outspoken about my job with it, because I'm like, it's the pandemic, you're definitely not going to fire me now. And I didn't care. But I was like, what is it? it wasn't projecting. It was just like, there was no filter. It was just coming out, just coming out, just coming out. Like, 'cause it was just so much that was happening and that I was feeling. And then I would try to write it into poetry. And then, you know, it was this whole thing. So then I took a step back from that, because like the whole like BLM and everything that was happening with Black people, that's all I saw. And I needed a minute. I needed to breathe.
Absolutely. It's a bummer that Andy's not here, because he always really talks about that pandemic as a pivotal moment, not just for him, but the United States. I mean, obviously the global perspective, but absolutely, that was a time where we were all on pause, so we couldn't deny the truth any longer because it was so in your face, even though it was been in a lot of people's face for a long fucking time. So it really wasn't anything new. It was just that people couldn't turn away anymore. People couldn't ignore it anymore. People couldn't say, nah, that doesn't exist because, you know, I don't experience that, or that's not what so-and-so, you know. So again, this is stuff that's been happening for a long fucking time. So the fact that that moment was there, of course, there's going to be this opening that came through, and I'm so excited that that was such a moment for you. Kind of pissed that Andy's not here, because he really brings that up, and he feels like that was a pivotal moment for him as well.
Well, that's good. Like, the thing that really like broke me, like, I avoided at all costs not to watch that George Floyd video. I've seen 1,000 of them. And so my dad, whenever I come home from work, he was always watching the news. He's handicapped. I was his caretaker, so that's all he does all day. And he was watching it, and I was standing behind him, and I was he wanted me to open the window or something like that. And like, what was he, like 61 at that point? I've never seen that man cry. And I look over and I see like a tear falling down his face, and I was like, what the hell? And so they had it on replay. So I just stood there. I was like, fine. I threw my hands up. I was like, I'm just going to watch it. And then I saw, and my dad was just like, I can't believe this is still happening. I can't believe this is still happening. And I just like, and so like, even though I have my own personal anger, right? So it just lit a fire in me, because this man was born in 1958 and he had it way worse than I did. And he still has to see this. So that's kind of where I was just like, F it. Like, I'm gonna say it to everyone. Everyone's gonna know how I feel. If I lose friends, that's fine. You know, because another thing that I'll say is, when a Black person is working in America, basically, no matter what the job is, there is like a mask that we have to wear, because no matter what we say, like, just talking to you like this right now, I would be called aggressive and angry just by having a general conversation. So that's why I was like, whatever, like, I can just be polite all that I want to, and I'm still going to be called aggressive and angry. They gave me they surprised me. Instead of being aggressive and angry, I was condescending,
which is in the same vein, which is definitely in that same vein of a negative connotation, when you're just talking completely fine and not aggressive, not condescending. You were just talking. So that's I'm so grateful that you were able to speak on this, and I want you to be able to speak more on these kind of topics right now.
Thank you. Yeah. So, and then seeing the reaction from people who I thought were my friends, like, I had a close friend. She told me, what did she say to me? Well, my other Black friends don't talk about it, so I don't see why, you know, it's such a big deal for you. And I was like, well, they shouldn't be talking about it. I shouldn't be talking about it. You should be talking about it. She wasn't Black. And, you know, so I think that kind of even started with the poetry more, because I'm like, well, I not only do I want to like promote my poetry, I want to show other Black women that they don't have to be put in a box. They can be outspoken, you know, and if I got to get heat for that, I'll take the heat. You know what I mean? Like, I'll take the heat, and you guys, and they do it the way that they want to do it, however they want to do it. Excuse me, because I just got tired, and I was tired of being outspoken in certain spaces. You know, I was tired of hiding certain parts of myself, and it made me miserable. And I was tired also, like, because I don't have the best relationship with my dad, like trying to appease him because he thought I should be a certain type of Black woman, you know. And part of it, I get it was because of my safety, because like, you know, the result for us isn't that great. But the other part of it was just like, my God loves Black women, but there's a loophole. He likes exotic Black women. So he, he wanted me to be kind of like the prim and proper Black woman. Like he dates Jamaicans and Ethiopians. I'm half Ethiopian, so he still loves Black women,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not like other Black women, right? So he just has this vision of me trying to be like this sweet, nice girl. And I'm like, do you not know who you are, Johnny Turner? What did you think was going to happen? His mom was outspoken. His sister who raised me, who I call my mom, is outspoken. Like, cussing us out on a daily basis was her love language. Yeah. So I'm like, where do you thought I was just going to be like, okay, Dad, yeah, sure. Like, really?
Wow, that's kind of fascinating. I had I just lost what I wanted to ask with this. You know what? Let's go into some poetry real quick, and then I can get my thoughts back together, because it really was about your voice, and then I just lost it. So let's get into some poetry real quick. And because, again, I'm so excited. If you're just joining us, we are featuring Bonita at Bonita Poetry. She's incredible, and she's really come into her own because, again, absolutely, you should be who you are. There is nothing wrong with who you are, period. You are incredible. You are perfect as is. So, and again, this is a person who didn't even ever want to share. Oh, that I remember now. Did you ever show your father your poetry? Did it ever go into that? Or, because again, I would never show my parents, even now. Still, I hope they never see it. So, have you been able to showcase that side at all yet, or is that still a layer you keep?
I did, because I started posting it online,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a 17-year-old sister, and she was following me online, so I wanted to kind of like beat her to it. And so I shared a couple of them, not too many of them, because you probably would have thought I needed to go in a psych ward or something like that. I don't know if she shared some things. I'm pretty sure she has, because it's always a competition with her and I.
Mm-hmm.
And she does writing as well. Like, she wants to be a director and stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
So I'm pretty sure she's comparing her stuff with my stuff, so my dad can be like, she's better, which is fine. Totally fine. But like, in detail about like a lot of my poetry, no. And then like people kind of ask like, are you gonna go back to writing stories? And I'm like, yeah, I'm writing a couple. I just, it's not there right now, so I'm just gonna stick to this for now.
So yeah, it will come when it's time. But now let's hear some poetry, because I think a lot of us are familiar with your incredible work, but I just want to get everybody a taste in case they are new to you, or they're watching the replay and they are new to you, because you are a powerhouse. And I'm so incredibly grateful that you have shared your voice with us. And you're international, baby, because you have connected with so many people across the globe. So your voice is important. So I'm so excited. What are we going to hear first tonight?
All right, so I'll go with Proclamation Emancipation. I think that kind of shows all the sides of my poetry and stuff. So start off with a bang. We'll do that one. So this one is going to be Proclamation Emancipation Part 1. While you were watching me, I was also watching you, all of you. While you were taking my kindness for weakness, while you were taking advantage of me, I was taking notes. And I've seen a lot, and I have a lot to say. To the men who followed me home from school, from elementary to high school, I see why you needed to make up for the small package between your legs, having to overcompensate for the fact that you don't have many brain cells. But that's zero excuse to become a predator and to terrorize little girls old enough to be your daughter or granddaughter. You disgust me. You are the definition of scum. To the men who sexually assaulted me, I wouldn't even spit on you if you were on fire. When your day comes, say hello to my spirit guides and ancestors while they toy with you like you did with me, before they hand you off to the devil, your twin, while you burn in hell for eternity. To the lovely females I have encountered, young and old, as I say this with sarcasm, fuck you. Fuck you for projecting your insecurities, your jealousy, your hate onto me, especially to the one who tried to sell me to a child sex trafficking ring. Fuck you to the ones who befriended me while praying for my downfall. Should have used those prayers for yourself, sweetheart, because now karma is at your door. Some of you are dead and gone, and even as a writer, I can never create a death scene so gruesome. And for the ones alive and well, heard you got babies on the way, I would never wish ill will to any child, but unfortunately, karma doesn't work out that way. Speaking of children and karma, to my parents, for Jonathan Turner, for Sinait Girmay, you two are a bunch of fools. Look at your life now, both handicapped and mad at the world, with no one to help you. You two thought your sins had been erased when I came around, making yourself believe that I was your reward, instead of seeing the lesson, not taking advantage of your second chance. You both continued all of your lies and crimes. You were abused and became the abuser, hurting me, abusing me, made your delusional asses think you had power. And look at you now. You can't even control your own bowels. Gotta wear a diaper and call on someone to wipe your own ass. So sad, so pathetic. But thank you for showing me what not to do, who not to be. I share your DNA, but I am so grateful and thankful to be everything you couldn't, someone you wished to be, but lacked the knowledge and comprehension because you were too busy inflicting your pain onto me, onto your other children. To the rest of my family, blame me all you want. You and I know who you really are, a bunch of cowards and drug addicts. Hey, Michael, have you overdosed yet? Spread your lies all you want. God and your mother know and see everything from up above. To my lovers, hey, baby, I hope you enjoyed my time and attention. I know my pussy left a permanent mark. I really should share your DMs you send to me to your wives, but I'm sure they feel the same as I do because the sex is never that good. I'm sure they're faking their orgasms like I used to. I should be angry, but I would want someone like me around too. I really don't understand how you call yourself men. Lastly, to society, the Karens, the coons, pigs, fuck you and your white fragility. For the minorities desperate for the white man's acceptance, I'm sure your ancestors are ashamed. You can kill a revolutionary, but you can never kill the revolution. I remember what you did to Fred Hampton, to the Black Panthers, MLK, Malcolm X. Go out like Bill O'Neill because that's the only way you'll be saved, unless the white man hangs you first. What you didn't account for, the people you killed, the free thinkers, had babies. And we're all grown up now. We do not plan on doing things in a peaceful way. Hope y'all ready. Things are boiling like a pressure cooker, and I'm not talking about global warming. I'm not the only one who took notes. Be ready for the 400 years of wrath and fury. We're coming for your so-called army, to be continued.
Oh my God. Wow. I mean, I have to tell you some of the things that people put in the chat as far as some of like the spirit guides and ancestor line was really powerful. People were just going really crazy because you just have a force with your voice. You just are not afraid to say things. Can you talk about that? Because that is very raw and emotional. You're saying some really intense things in this, and it doesn't come off as scattered. It comes off as very, very planned, controlled, and meaningful. And as you continue throughout the entire thing, it unfolds even more and more and more and more and more, as if you're pulling layer upon layer upon layer upon layer, and we're seeing more from you. So can you speak on that?
And the poem, or just doing that in general?
Both.
Honestly, like doing poetry, like it's the only time my brain makes sense. Like the only time. And
I get it. I get that. Sorry, that just tickled my brain because I understood everything so much. Like, yeah, that's the only time it makes fucking sense sometimes. Yeah, all the time.
I have tunnel vision, like nothing else exists. Nothing else matters. There's been times where I had to pull over on the side of the road because I'm like, oh wait, like because it just flows in my head like that, and I'm like, I gotta get this because I'm gonna lose it, you know, because I'm gonna get distracted by something, and like I would say, like what I would say basically with, you know, kind of gradually like writing about different things, because mine was more like depression and mental health and stuff, is like stick to your vision. I'm so glad that I did, even though there's so many times I'm like, nah, I'm gonna delete this one, I'm gonna do this, and then, you know, that other part of me is like, well, what do you have to lose? Like, what do you have to, just either post it or keep it in your archives, like do whatever you want. And you know, eventually I was like, I'm tired of writing about the same thing. Like, there's more to life than this.
Mm-hmm.
And I love like exploring or, you know, doing something different when I feel like I don't like feeling stuck. I will go crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I turn into the, what is it, the Tasmanian devil or whatever. Like, I go insane.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't want the whole kids thing, because I just know how I am. Like, I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I kind of like, and then shadow work, that helps too. So like, if there's something that I'm constantly writing about, I ask myself like, so why are you writing about this like same thing? Like, what is it that you're trying to say that you're not saying? So I say it to myself, and then I say it out loud, you know, to try to like, you know, dive into it. And if I really don't have an answer, then I just kind of leave it alone. And I'll write like poems about it. Like, I'll write probably 3 or 4 or something like that. And then if I'm just like, there's something missing, I don't know what it is. And then I'll write that final piece, you know, and I'm just like, boom, bam, that's exactly what I'm trying to say. And what I've noticed about myself, which I barely notice about myself, I go by feeling, I don't go by thinking. So I have to feel everything first. And if it doesn't feel good, if it doesn't feel great, then I don't want to do it. I might like be curious and be like, well, let's see what this is about. You know what I mean? But I'll have like one foot in the door and then one foot out if it doesn't completely like make me feel some type of way. Like, you know, like when you hear an amazing song for the first time, or when you have that first shot of whiskey after a long day.
Yeah.
You know, like if it doesn't feel like that to me, then I'm not going to do it, or we're just going to put it on pause for now.
Until it feels right.
Exactly. So trusting, like I said, sticking to your vision, trusting your instincts. This is a quote that I've been saying a lot, which really has helped me even till this day. My inner critic is not my guide.
My inner critic is not my guide. That is really important. That's very hard, but like, how are you able to keep that vision? My inner critic is not my guide. That's tough. How do you do that?
So like, I'll ask myself, like, let's say for a poem, like, oh, I don't think I should post this, but why? I don't know if everybody's gonna like it. Well, we don't care if everyone's gonna like it. What if it doesn't get the response that I want? Doesn't matter, because you don't want everyone to respond to it. You only want certain people to respond to it, you know? So I'm just like, oh, okay, so basically every excuse that I'm coming up with is not a valid excuse for me. So I'm just going to post it. Or let's say I want to try something new, which is something I love doing, but then I try to talk myself out of it. And it's like, okay, but this is something you've been wanting to do for a really long time. Why don't you want to do it? Well, I don't think it's the right time. Well, why isn't it the right time? What else do you have going on? Like, what are you doing? Nothing. Like, you want to watch TV? You can kind of do that tomorrow. You want to listen to music? You can listen to music on the way. So it's kind of like, that's like kind of the process. And then, so basically, like, if my brain and like my heart or like my body isn't matching up, then, you know, just like, hold on, let's self-examine, let's self-reflect, let's figure out what's going on, let's figure out why, you know what I mean? And you know, I have major anxiety, but thanks to meditation and shadow work and saying all those affirmations, like I can kind of calm myself down a little bit. But if I start to feel like there's like bugs crawling through my skin and stuff like that, then that's like me like not focusing on the right things, and I'm just doing instead of actually like paying attention. So I take a step back and I'm just like, well, wait, you know, like, what are we doing here? Because, you know, that's what I used to do. I'd be like, oh, we can deal with it later. And then all of a sudden it came crashing down. I'm like, wait, what? Like, what? I thought, what's going on? And it would be over the smallest thing.
I'm sorry, like I'm having that moment again where I'm hearing the things I need to hear. You're here right now, because that is definitely my MO, to just, it will resolve itself when it resolves itself. I'll just keep swimming along, keep treading water. I'll get it through. And then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, over the canyon, you know, over the waterfall. And
you're all the way to going down the deep end and everything. Yeah. You're like, wait, I thought we were handling this.
I'm really good at just throwing it in the back of my mind so far back. It's like you can't even see it, because I get so hyper focused on the day to day. So, oh my gosh, yeah. But so that transition really helped you. So you said that the meditation and the shadow work and these kinds of things are really what helped you kind of manage this and continue to work towards your goal.
Yes.
Of just being this, well, I'm saying it's a goal of being this motherfucking powerhouse out here with a real fucking voice. So I'm a huge fucking fan, and I'm hearing everything you're saying tonight. I mean, your words are not on deaf ears. I'm actually learning a lot from you tonight. So
Thank you.
Get into another piece because I want to get at least maybe 2 more pieces from you before we have to head over to the after party with Rainier at Origin of Thought, your little home club, because you're on at Wednesdays at 9 p.m., right? 9 p.m. on Wednesdays?
Yes, 9 p.m. on Wednesday.
Eastern Standard Time. Sorry, friends, because she's international. She has international clientele. Sorry.
Thank you. No, you're fine. Thank you. I'm so I'm grateful. I'm so grateful. It's just the response is always what I always wanted. I just, that critic is like, it'll never happen. So it's nice to hear. I don't take it for granted whatsoever. I don't.
Yeah, I hear you because, again, I really give Andy all the credit in the world because he's the one that saw something in me and plucked me out of my comfort zone. And for you to say Just Star is really the one that kind of helped open the door to yeah, why not you? Of course I'll get you in, because Just Star, she's incredible. Also, again, international, what did I say? So, excuse me. So, again, if you are just joining us, I mentioned earlier, on your show, you have real hardcore conversations that come up. And it's not just about this is my life or this is a personal experience. It's on a global, it's on a social, it's on a real important scale. So again, it's because you're able to facilitate that dialogue because people want to talk about it. You open the door and you really have a real strong POV where you're not going to let somebody railroad or take it down the wrong direction. And you're always incredibly kind to people who even make mistakes, because I remember hanging out with Just Star and you, and we had somebody come in and through, and you were able to try to explain it in a very polite way, but still confident, clear, and strong. So back to you, though. Back to you. What are we going to hear now?
Oh, okay, let's see. I had something lined up. Hold on one second. I am going to do a mental health piece for, people who, for everyone. Actually, I'm going to do one about my mom because she's the main reason why I'm even to speak up and say the things that I want to say. So I feel like I should honor her a little bit.
Okay, wonderful. Of course.
So this one, actually, I'm so sorry. Hold on. This is not the one. Warning, bird wine, plus dance. Where did it go? Sweetie, and your sun, shine bright. No, that's not it. Okay, so I'll just do this one. It's called Sherry Amore, like the Stevie Wonder song. That was her favorite song. So let's see. Yeah, this is actually kind of came about from one of the meditations that I did, and I felt like she did help me kind of guide me to kind of get there. She's no longer here, but so yeah. So it's called Sherry Amore. My head is broken. This fucked up society broke it wide open. Too much ugliness, too much trauma, too much drama. Cries for help to deaf ears. I'm done. Can't take it. But then I hear a beat. I feel a flutter. I follow it. I come across a closed door. Open it. I hear someone say. I open the door. I see all the dreams I used to dream before. All the things I used to love. All the things I used to cherish. Thinking to myself, when did I stop dreaming? When did I stop feeling? Then a young girl walks up to me. She looks just like me. She calls herself Young Mimi. She takes me by the hand. showing me all the things that were there, that were always there in my heart and soul, telling me there's so much more to life. There's so much more in this world that the eyes cannot see. Just feel, don't think. Young Mimi says to me. That's a short piece.
Wow, that's incredible. So again, that's in honor of your mother, who is, it's kind of named after that Stevie Wonder song, and and you said that came from like one of your meditation pieces. So it's just kind of like you heard the voice come through your ear, and then it just came through, or what was the feeling you had during that moment?
So with my with my meditations, I've seen a couple signs from like her, like and like throughout like the days and stuff like that, and I'm just like, oh, okay, like whatever. But then it kind of like, so I'll meditate, I'll be sitting there for a second just trying to breathe, I'll do either a guided meditation or music or whatever the case may be. And then, so my nickname is Mimi, and that's what my family calls me. And so like I'll hear someone saying like Mimi, 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 and that's how my mom would be like to like nag me all the time and stuff like that. And so I'll be like, no, this isn't it. And so like she will be like, stop thinking about it, like stop thinking this isn't it. Just because your brain can't see it doesn't mean it's not actually happening. Like, what do you actually, kind of like the inner critic is not my guide thing. What do you feel inside? And I'm like, okay, like I kind of feel like you're here, I think. And she's like, stop fighting it, like stop resisting it, you know, like I'm here, we're here. Like unfortunately a lot of people in my family have passed on. So, and then, you know, kind of like, I remember one time after my dad just had his stroke, me and my other aunt, his sister, we were sitting outside, she was not here, and we were sitting around like, what would she do in this moment? I don't know what to do. You know, like I'm not trying to be like a caretaker for the rest of my life. And she always said if she passed away, she wanted to be reincarnated as a bird, a hummingbird. And a hummingbird literally flew up right in front of us while we were eating our food. And I was just like, and so I looked at my aunt, I'm like, you saw that, right? And she was like, yes. She's like, she's here. I told you, she's here. So little things like that. But now, thanks to the meditation, I will say, and the shadow work has give me a little more guidance and shown me a little bit more signs and kind of like gave me a little bit more clarity and, you know, kind of explanation as to why certain things have happened, like her passing, because she was the glue for all of us, was because we needed to see that the cycle was continuing. More kids are being born into our family, and we're not learning our lesson. We're continuing this generational curse. And like me, because I'm like, oh, I want to break it for my sister because we're 16 years apart. And so she's like, it was continuing, you know, like it needed to stop. We were just surviving. We weren't actually living and stuff like that. And, you know, my dad, he was like kind of like the one left to like guide all of us, but he was miserable. So like we were like getting that too. And we were just so like lost and confused. And so she was just like, wake up. You need to wake up. Like, you guys are like messing up. And for a long time, I was like, why me? Like, go talk. You have a son, you have another son, you have a brother. Like, why do I have to do this? And she was like, there's a reason for it. You need to pay attention. Because like your dad's not paying attention anymore. Because he was actually kind of like more spiritual than I was. And he believed in signs and everything like that. And so, yeah, so that's kind of how it started. I started paying attention more. I stopped resisting it. I stopped fighting it. And I'm so glad I did, because it's like she's here all over again, just not in a physical sense.
In the way that you've described it, I completely get the understanding of what you're describing. And especially with birds in general, I know they're very connected to the spiritual. You know, like a lot of times they say birds come through when you're thinking of people that have passed. So the fact that it was so specific to that bird at that time, it feels so meaningful to me listening to you talk about that. So the fact that I think you are carrying her with you with your voice and your message, and I'm so, again, I'm just such a fan of yours. I'm so excited. Again, if you are just joining us, we are getting close to not quite the end, but towards the end of our feature of this incredible Bonita Poetry. You can always check her out across all of the IG platform, but of course, Wednesdays at 9 o'clock p.m. EST on her show on Origin of Thought, where again, she really provides an opportunity for people to share and really talk about these things that are not just personal to them, but connecting to all of us. Mm-hmm. So what's like kind of next for you down the pipeline? Like, I know you're kind of like I'm not trying to force you into this stuff because you got stuff going on right now. As far as like you have your show, you have your art, you have, whatever you're doing on top of everything else. But what's like your future goal that you would like to maybe put into next as you continue to evolve in this?
I have 2 poetry books that I want to put out. One's already done. I sent it over. I have to send a couple pages and it has to be edited. And then the other one which is like, the first one is more so about like my relationship with my dad and how much that affected me. And then the second one is kind of like just all the things I wish I would have said, like past and present time thing. And then I have 2 novels that I'm working on. As a writer, everybody knows that's going to be a whole nother process.
So we're not doing the short story. We're doing the whole story thing down here. I love it.
The whole story one. So I would love to be able to create a platform to showcase other people, like other artists, other poets. I would love to do, what is it? It's not an open mic. It's more of like a showcase. I've seen it in LA where I used to live, where you have like someone who does like cover songs and then their own songs. And then there's like vendors who sell their own beer, their own food, their own jewelry. And I used to work at an art store back in California. I know a lot of artists. So I want to create a space where people can showcase their talent, and feel comfortable in that space, because I don't tolerate any BS.
You sure don't. I love it.
Hey, you gotta go. You gotta go. You gotta go.
I love it.
But I also wanted. So it is. What I would want it is limited. I want to I don't want too many people. I don't want it oversaturated. I feel like you lose the feeling, you lose the vibe.
It's got to be intimate.
Yeah, I definitely want it intimate. I want everybody to be able to showcase their work, be able to network with each other, to be inspired. I'm constantly looking for inspiration and new ways of doing things. So that would definitely be my goal. Like, I would love to make a name for myself, but not to just make a name for myself, just to network and be able to create a bigger platform so other people can come on and, showcase their talent and their work, whether they have 10 followers or 1,500,000 or whatever, and just do their own thing and not feel judged.
You're exactly what like a lot of us are trying to do out here, building the bridges so people can cross through. But so like you're the keystone in that, you really want to provide that access. And it sounds like you, like me, you want to break that fourth wall down where it is a connection between here we are and where we are. You know what I mean? Because that's really where I'm trying to do with the, traveling to the open mics. And, we have that open mic in Jersey on 10/20, which is a little bit after I'll be chasing poetry. I'll be going to that one too. So I'll be having some open mic fun in October. But like, it's so important that there are people like you out there, because you are more than just yourself. You really are part of the mission. That's and it's empowering to know that there are people like you out there that are part of the mission. And that's why we want to highlight you and your words tonight. I want to hear another piece, because you do such a great job trying to highlight other people. We got to highlight you tonight.
Okay. Let's see what I got. So let's see. I will do. Okay, so I will do Heavenly Helix. This was a writing prompt from D.L. White author, Danny. This was his writing prompt, I don't know, few months back. So it's Heavenly Helix. You are most commonly told to watch out for your enemies, to watch out for backstabbers. You are also told that blood is thicker than water. Never turn your back on family. Are those statements still true when someone in your family backstabs you or becomes your enemy? Are those statements still true when your entire family backstabs you and becomes the enemy you never expected? Let me guess. I'm supposed to forgive them, right? Because they're family? I disagree. It's hard to forgive the sexual assaults as a child, then later gaslit to think it was all in my head. It's hard to forgive the drunken nights my father would burst into my room while I was asleep, demanding I do everything he says with a smile on my face, while threatening to put me out on the streets if I dared to complain. It's hard to forgive my mother and my uncle leaving me at home by myself or with their fellow drug addict friends in our apartment with no food or electricity at 6 years old. It's hard to forgive because of the love my mother had for crack cocaine caused me to end up in the system for 5 years, bouncing around from one shitty foster home to the next. Forgive me if I sound angry. Forgive me for my resentment. It's kind of hard not to be when you can still feel the many knives from all of the adults in my life, the people who were supposed to protect me, slowly twisting and turning in my back, while I now, as an adult, take them out one by one, lick my wounds and heal, so I don't inflict my wounds and pain onto innocent people like they done to me.
Again. I mean, how do you do it? How do you really go to that level? You know what I mean? Where do you find that inner strength? I mean, I know you mentioned throughout this hour a lot of it, but like seriously, to really say those things, how do you do that? How do you really say it that way?
I think ironically enough, I think it's because my dad gave me a very big ego. Me and my sister. Our egos couldn't be bigger than his, but he gave us we had to be better than everybody else. Anything that we do, we had to be better than everybody else. If we practice it, we had to practice it 10 times harder. So I think that's where the switch kind of comes in. The cockiness kind of comes in a little bit too. And so like I have that inner confidence. And so I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to write whatever I want to write. Like, what are you going to say about it? What are you going to do about it? I dare you type thing. So, and that's just like what, 34 years of like just pumping up my ego. You know, and I had a lot of humbling experiences where, you know, like I am not the best of it at everything and better than everyone, which I'm grateful for as well, because yeah, because even my friends now, when I tell, like a lot of my friends, they didn't know my living experience. They didn't know how it was. And when I tell them, they were like, we would never know. And you have like such a confidence about you. Like we had no clue. And I was just like, you know, well, I just kept everything. I internalized everything. And then also too, like I was raised not to ever talk about my problems or say anything. And then I also didn't want to go back to foster care on top of that. My aunt who raised me, who lived next door, she didn't even know, because until like later when he did kick me out and I had to live with her. And she did not know the extent of how bad it was. And she's like, why didn't you say anything? I was like, I did not want to go back to foster care.
Like again, you say, and it's like the truth, and that's what I'm saying. You're not afraid of it because it has made you who you are, and that strength, that powerhouse. You know, I know you say there's multiple sides to you, but you really showcase this side pretty clear here. And if you are just joining us, we're getting towards the end of our hour. We could go at least 3 more, because this amazing poet, this amazing person needs definitely more than just an hour to honor all of that she's done for us here in the community, and even just for yourself. Because again, to be only 34, you know, and already be at where you are now, so outspoken and powerful, it's impressive. And that's what I'm saying. I'm so grateful to have you on tonight, to hear from you, to learn from you, because I needed to hear some of your stuff tonight. And I appreciate you because I came at your DM really quickly. Like, I might have to cancel last minute, but I couldn't do it. Again, Andy's like, why can't you? And I said, well, okay, I'll go on because I could not miss this tonight with you. So on Wednesday, this upcoming show, do you have anything planned, anything, or you're just ready for it to go as it normally goes?
It's gonna go normally, especially right now since I'm kind of in between places. I actually do want to have a co-host, so like, you know, kind of pay it forward how Just Star did for me.
Yeah.
If you know people are comfortable with it and stuff like that, and you know, maybe eventually, I definitely do want to do something that has to do with music, because music really inspires a lot of my pieces too.
Oh yeah.
So I kind of want to do a theme of like music or something, or at least like, or try to start it off like these are the songs that I was listening to when I wrote this piece, or something like that, in some kind of way. Because you know, if we play music, Instagram's gonna kick us out. So I'm trying to find a loophole through that. And you know, everybody loves music. Music is poetry, especially hip hop. I'm a huge hip hop person. A Tribe Called Quest, that's how I got my Instagram name, Bonita Poetry with Bonita Applebaum. Tupac is my favorite. I've talked about him a lot. I relate to how a lot of his lyrics, because he's kind of all over the place, but you know, has a lot to say. Kendrick Lamar, you know, all the Cali rappers, those are my peoples, because I'm from Cali, like LA.
I was born in LA, but I've lived most of my life in Ohio. But I was born in LA, man. I was born there.
I have two other sisters. They're in Ohio. One's in Cleveland and Columbus.
Yeah. Okay. I'll listen for them.
And if you think I'm outspoken, those two, oh my gosh, they have me beat. Like my sister, a guy called her a bitch, and she like waited for everybody to like calm down.
Yeah.
And she walked over to behind him and took his chair and yanked it so he can fall in front of the whole entire class. And I was like, that's great. I'm proud of you.
Just to have the, you know, just to wait, you know, that was the creme de la creme, the thought of all thoughts, you know, to wait, not react. You waited. Ooh, that's you gotta you gotta respect that. You know what I mean? You gotta respect that a little bit.
Oh yeah. We're all like that, you know. They have newer ways of doing it. Now that I'm older, I'm a little bit calmer now, but yeah, I have two on my birth mom's side, and then I have one on my dad's side, and her and I are like literally like twins. Our birthdays are actually 2 weeks apart.
Aww.
Which I wasn't happy with at first, but you know, she's cool. I kind of like her. She's not too bad. But yeah, so like, we can fight with each other, but if anyone, including our dad, if they try to fight with us, we're not having it. We go for the jugular. Like, I think my dad said something to her, and then he was like, can you plug he wears all black all the time, and he's like, can you plug something in, like take this napkin away so like something doesn't catch on fire? And I was like, at least you'll match your outfit. And he's like, did you just hear what you said to me? Yeah. I was like, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Well, you know, I'm really kind of intrigued by that whole entire music connection. Like the concept of that program would be very alluring to a lot of us, because again, music definitely sets that feeling, that tone. I mean, a commercial can get me to cry because it's really the music that's behind it. You know, I will cry so easily because of that, and you can't even understand that it's really there because it's underneath all the dialogue, but it's there. And music really does feed you, and it fuels you at times as well. So I definitely think you're onto something, especially so many people in the chat were like, yeah.
Okay.
So I love it.
Yay.
So we're almost done because I definitely don't want to keep rating, but we have a few more minutes. So I want to say, I guess I want to ask Andy's last question that he loves to ask all of our guests. And that is, after all of this, after everything is said and done, what is kind of the message or voice that you really, or whatever it is that you want to leave behind in this? What is that you hope that people, when they think of you, this is what they really get from you?
When I think of me, I I guess to just being outspoken, surprised and outspoken. Because I know a lot of times people think like I'm innocent or something. I don't understand that. But you know, and then they get surprised when I open my mouth situation. So I guess like surprised and outspoken, that's what I would want people to remember me, and then hopefully that will motivate someone else to do the same thing. And again, especially women, all races and stuff like that, but it's of course Black women as well. Because, you know, at home, we're told, yeah, be outspoken at home, but when you go outside to the real world, just, you know, be quiet, be on mute, don't bring any attention to yourself. And so I kind of want to be like, yeah, F that, go ahead and show attention to yourself.
As you should, because like I said before, you are perfect as is, and there is nothing wrong with you. And again, that is so important that you are doing that, because that is still something I think that is with a lot of our youngsters that are part of that. They are afraid to be outspoken, or they're afraid they're going to get misinterpreted. I mean, it's unfortunate. Just by laughing and having a good time, you could be interpreted as being malicious or doing something wrong just because of something that is ingrained within the brain. Then we will not understand why we cannot let this go. So,
and then cancel culture, all that stuff. Yeah.
But I am so excited that you are part of this, and you are the keystone. And I think you've made it comfortable for a lot of people from a lot of different backgrounds to feel like they can come and sit here and be a part of the conversation without trying to mismanage their part of the conversation. Mm-hmm. But there is a great balance of listening, and then you have a great way of drawing out conversation that is powerful and going towards a positive resolve. So again, I thank you so much for everything. I'm so glad this didn't accidentally get axed for tonight, because it was so important for me. I cannot thank you enough.